Hey, 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 you know what time it is. Get into it. Get into it. Yes. Welcome back, lovelies. Welcome back. We are back with another edition of Storytime with Chris. Like I always say, you don't have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them in your downtime. Nap time, max, relax, and chillax time, in between time, mean time, scheme time, any time that you want to hear a highly animated voice bring you wonderful stories of science fiction, magic, fantasy, adventure, and many, many more in between. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. If you are not aware, all of the recent episodes of Storytime with Chris are uploaded to the YouTube channel. The link to that is within my bio on Facebook as well as Instagram. And slowly but surely, I'm going to launch my TikTok soon. So if for those who are aware that I have a TikTok, great. I haven't really posted much of anything, but I'm starting to figure out the app and how to navigate things. There should be like a TikTok social media creativity 101 class because I'm a little behind on certain things. So please bear with me. And even though my ring light is on right now, all of that light mostly is the sun. Like, even if I were to turn this, literally, the sun is gloriously beaming on me, even though it looks like a couple of clouds are coming in. But that's okay. It's been a beautiful day. I went to the gym this morning, had a good breakfast, and then came back and did some real deep cleaning in my house. So I was super happy to do that today, and then I'm going to sage later and take the time to relax. Always take the time to do a little something for yourself while also doing something nice for someone else. You should always be taking consideration of other people and not just solely for yourself. That's my personal philosophy. But without that, further ado, we're going to go ahead and begin because the last time we were here, Prince Jen was mugged by Natha of the leader of the Yellow Scarves, who now has made a name for himself as a bandit king, not just a bandit lord, and has taken over several provinces with this mysteriously sentient sword. So what does sentient mean? Sentient is another fancy way of saying to be alive or to be of a living substance, to be organic, to be aware. And this sword is aware of the fact that Natha uses it to not only defend himself, but also to dish out punishment to people for those who disrespect him. So I just think that's going to be very telling later on when we get back to that character. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, y'all. My glasses are just not wanting to. There we go. Yes, that's so much better. Okay. Chapter 9. When is a prince not a prince? Mafu comforts his toes. Voyaging moon plays the flute. My warrant's gone! Only now did Prince Jen realize that more than the sword had been taken. Stripping him of his robe, the bandits had also made off with his royal identification and authority. Never mind that, you can't ride a scrap of paper. Mafu shook his fist at the Yellow Scarves, who had already galloped out of sight. Sons of turtles! They stole our horses! In the course of what it had first promised to be a pleasantly interesting journey, Prince Jen so far had been half-drowned, mired in mud, imposed on by a disgusting old crackpot, and now robbed, terrorized, and forced to gulp down shame enough to last a lifetime. Even a gentle-natured prince has a limited store of tolerance, and Prince Jin, blood in his eye and ferocious thoughts in his head, was set on personally throttling Natha and all his band as well. He jumped to his feet and started for the mouth of the cave. Jen! He was part way down the path when this call from Voyaging Moon brought him up short. Somehow it pleased him that she overlooked the royal title. Young Lord Prince, Voyaging Moon corrected herself. No! Only call me Prince, when I get back my warrant, and the saddle and the sword. If you like, Voyaging Moon said. It does save time, now that you've calmed down a little, and started thinking sensibly. You've already figured it out. Find Li Kuang and you'll have that saddle you say is so important. Then with him and his troops, you'll have a better chance of following the Yellow Scarves and getting the sword from Natha. I want more than that from him, Jen muttered between his teeth. He went back and bundled up the remaining gifts. He hurried from the cavern and with Voyaging Moon set about finding the warrior's tracks. Ay-ya! Ay-ya! Trying to keep up with his master and the flute girl, Mafu hopped as if he were crossing a bed of hot coals. My feet aren't used to this torture. I wish those devils had taken my trousers instead of my boots. Jin, from his part, paid no heed to the stones that bruised and bloodied his own unsawed feet. While the voyaging moon searched in one direction, he pressed farther ahead in another with no success. Though it was now full daylight, the girl's quick eyes caught no trace of the vanished escort. Mafu thought they doubled back, Jin called. Could they have gone all the way down again? No longer content to let the flute girl take the lead, Jen ordered Voyaging Moon to quarter one side of the path and Mafu the other, then set off practically racing downhill. He's acting more like a prince without that warrant than he did when he had it, Mafu groaned, trying to rub his feet and walk at the same time. Life was less strenuous before he decided to take charge of things. Later in the day, when the travelers came back to the roadside, they found no sign that Li Kuang and his men had ever returned. Mafu hunkered down in the bushes and comforted his toes. Jin and Voyaging Moon gave one last fruitless search. The girl's spirits had not flagged until now, when she wearily admitted she could do no more. Not for a footprint, not a hoofprint, she said. We've lost them for good. Then what? Jen's vision of courageously regaining the sword was rapidly fading. Li Kuang might as well have disappeared from the face of the earth. What grew clear instead was that he had little chance of recovering the saddle or the sword. We can't stand here in the middle of the road. Yes, we can, Mafu said, until my blisters heal. Is there a village nearby? A farmhouse? Jen asked Voyaging Moon. Any place at all we can shelter. I'm out of my district, the girl said. I don't know this part of the province. We'll keep on until we find something. And when you do, Voyaging Moon said, you'll make a good procession with your band of retainers, all 2 of them, and the royal prince himself. I'm sure you'll forgive me for pointing this out, looking like the king of scarecrows. You can explain everything, of course, and why you haven't a scrap of evidence to prove it. Also, it's going to be dark. Do you mean to go hacking through the countryside all night? I admire your line of reasoning, Mafu said, beaming. The most practical thing at the moment is the simplest. Sit down. Jin blistered. The girl nettled him, as did Mafu for agreeing with her. Nevertheless, he had no ready answer. He reluctantly followed Mafu a little way off the road like a dog making its bed. Mafu flattened a space in the undergrowth and curled up in one corner. Resigned to spending the night, Jin dropped the bundle of gifts much lighter than before and sat cross-legged beside it. Mafu warned me, Jen said, as Voyaging Moon settled next to him. He didn't want to go to Tianquo. He didn't want me to do it either. I should have listened to him. What do I know of learning to govern, or taking charge of Huan Ming's gifts? I've already lost 2 of them. Someone else should have gone in my place. Who? I don't know. I think anyone would have done better. You can still make your way back to Chang'an? Voyaging Moon said. Yes, in disgrace, Jin said. Shall I tell my father I failed before I barely started? He trusted me to do what he wasn't able to do. Shall I tell him how frightened I was? Any sort of answer, any sorry sort of courage for a prince. A prince isn't required to be a fool, Voyaging Moon said. Anyone would have done the same. Show courage by letting some hulking ruffian snap your neck? Brave? I'd call it plainly stupid. Anyhow, what did you do next has to be up to you. Suppose I went to Quanzhou, Jen said after a time. Cha Wei knows he's obliged to give me provisions, horses, everything we need. Don't worry about him, he added. I'll tell him you're under my protection. Like it or not, he wouldn't dare do anything. He's tricky, Voyaging Moon said. I don't like the idea of being anywhere near him. What else then? We need food, water, clothing. Now we have nothing. Jen glanced at the small bundle. Only these, and they're no help to us. Valuable gifts. Natha called them playthings. He undid the wrappings. I wonder why Master Wu chose them. Worthy offerings for a great king? He picked up the flute and smiled at Voyaging Moon. This makes me think of that night in Cha Wei's yamen. You played beautifully. I never heard anything like it. Please, play again. Voyaging Moon put the flute to her lips. Instantly the notes rose and hovered gently in the air. She stopped, surprised. It hardly needs a breath. I don't know about the other gifts. But this one, Master Wu chose well." The girl began once more, and at the first floating strands of melody, Jen felt his heart lighten. Within moments, his humiliation at the hands of Natha, his dismay at Li Kuang's appearance, his failure to guard the offerings all turned weightless, borne away by the song of the flute. As for Voyaging Moon, he could scarcely believe that this was the same girl, barefoot in coarse garments, with her high-cheeked peasant features. Her face shone like a golden light in the rays of the setting sun. Watching her, he felt she might vanish at any moment, carried off on the stream of music. He hardly dared to breathe. He sat motionless, hands folded, eyes lowered. Mafu stirred and raised himself on an elbow. "Marvelous," he sighed. "It made me dream of dumplings." Voyaging Moon laughed. The spell was broken. She put down the flute. Jen urged her to keep on. She shook her head sadly. "This is not mine to play." "It must be given to Huan Ming if ever I reach him," Jen said, his voice heavy with regret. "It is not mine either. Until I have to part with it, I leave it in your hands to play as you will. This gift, at least, is worthy—" Voyaging Moon put a finger to her lips. "Quiet. Careful," she whispered. "Don't move suddenly. Something's behind us in the bushes." What now? Does yet another danger threaten our hero and his fans? To find out, go quickly to the next chapter. And that is where we will end for today. Oh, wow. I hope that's accurate. Let me look that up, actually. Oh, wow. This was made the year I was born. 1991, baby. 1991, baby. I mean, all love to my 90s babies. We are Generation Y. We are not the millennial group. We were not born in... If you were not born in the millennium, you are not a millennial. I was born in 91. I am not a millennial, okay? I grew up in the 90s, okay? That is what I know. For those who are of 90, like basically a millennial to me is somebody born in the year 2000 or born at least in the year 1998, 1999. They are actually part of the new millennium. So I don't feel as though I count within that category, considering I did grow up in the 90s and of course the 2000s, but I was born and raised into the 90s. But it's always cool to see works like this that have either the date or close to the date I was born, or at least the year of which I was born. I always like finding those synchronicities. But without further ado, y'all, I'll bid you a good afternoon. I'll see you later. Be good to each other. See you next time.